everybody. My name is Howard Buzick. I'm from the Telecom Infra Project. This is my friend Hugh. I'll give him a better introduction a bit later. Before I even start, how many folks actually have heard of a Telecom Infra Project? So I'll point out one thing. David Coleman talked about Telecom Infra Project just like 2 hours ago. Pay more attention to his slides. So I'll give you some more details on who we are, what we do, and we'll get things going. So the Telecom Infra Project's been around since 2016. We're a nonprofit foundation that's been designed to really improve connectivity for everybody in various fields. So we've been spending a lot of time in the cellular space. There's a standard called Open RAN that has been developed by our foundation. And David Coleman did mention OpenAFC. Many people here are actually members of OpenAFC, helping develop the proper standards for frequency management for Wi-Fi 6E outdoors. And we're here today to talk about OpenWiFi, which is about a 2-year-old project that not a lot of folks have heard of. So I'll ask that question too. How many people here have heard of OpenWiFi? See, it's too thin. We gotta solve that problem today. A bit more about TIP. We were founded by the people you see on the screen, Vodafone, Intel, Facebook, Telefonica, Deutsche Telekom, and BT, but there's a lot more members today. We have about 500 total members in TIP. So at a basic level, what OpenWiFi is, a lot of folks have been experimenting with white box type deployments. This is a standardized open source cloud controller that can manage white box APs. That's at its most basic level. People that look at this slide often get drawn to the bottom right, where our goal, and we've been quite successful at it, is reducing total cost of ownership by 60%. And this is great at helping to connect unconnected communities. Wi-Fi deployments that were not possible before become possible by lowering the total cost of deploying the darn thing. It also allows new entrants. So this is when the basic features and functions are in place through open source, new people can come in and innovate and build without having to rebuild. Reinventing the wheel is not required to deploy a new Wi-Fi solution. It's disaggregated. So you can actually choose from a variety of Wi-Fi access point providers and cloud control providers. And it's a big ecosystem. So one key factor is a diverse supply chain. We have manufacturers in multiple countries. Some have more or less troubles than others in getting chipsets these days. So, and I'll get a bit later on about how many people we have in the program, but it's a very diverse group of controllers, access point providers, switches, et cetera. So today, for the most part, ignoring white box, it's most common we see on the left here. This is a vendor-locked solution, which has lots of benefits. When you control things from end to end, you can really control the quality, and it's consistent. So there's quite a bit of value. However, there is a bit of lock-in that occurs as a result. So OpenWiFi believes we can use the same standard air interface that is certified by the WFA and enable an ecosystem where you can provide for multiple vendors of APs, multiple cloud controllers, multiple switches, and open APIs, so we can actually make it all work together and mix and match and choose who you want to work with. And quite simply, you can buy an access point from vendor A that maybe has a good roof mount AP, a second vendor that has a nice wall plate, another one has a good outdoor access point as well. You can mix them in the same network, negotiate hard. Next time you do an upgrade, buy from a fourth vendor. You can do what you want, and you can even change cloud controllers when you want. So no lock-in. And what's really cool about this initiative is we've got a very large community of about 100 different companies that all contribute to the development and testing. We have a test lab with 18 different test beds. We do nightly and weekly releases. We have full regression testing. All the different access point providers are in there. We have a badging program for these AP providers. You can schedule time in this environment to do your own smoke tests and feature testing and things like that. So it's really as if we were a full-blown Wi-Fi vendor, but it's a community-based organization. And as of today, we have around 22 different access point models, which have come with pretty much every form factor, including obviously roof mount, wall plate, outdoor strand mount, et cetera, et cetera. And these are all coming over time. Wi-Fi 6E, because of the way the chipsets have been going, next 2 or 3 months we'll have numerous models available, but lots going on there. So that's really about the physical layer. And the reason I brought along my friend Hugh is because his company, Net Experience, is one of our key ecosystem members that has developed a lot of the open source layer, as well as a solid enterprise grade cloud controller. So I'll hand over to him, and then get some more detail on what they're doing there.
All right, thank you, Howard. Okay, as Howard mentioned, I'm from Net Experience. We do a cloud platform management and controller platform. And we were also involved in the initial open source stuff. So let me go on. This talk was supposed to be given by Marcel Chenier. He's our CTO. And unfortunately, for personal reasons, he wasn't able to attend today. So I'm a poor substitute, but I'll certainly do my best. He, like you guys, the amount of brain power in here is very impressive. Like you guys, he's a very, very long-term Wi-Fi guy. You may remember companies like Bel Air, for example, Ericsson, that he was involved in over many years. So, as Howard mentioned, the architecture is an open architecture. So, in a simplified form here, you can see that the Net Experience platform can control the access points on the left. But those access points can now be mixed and matched with the various hardware vendors that Howard had mentioned. In fact, I've listed some of them there. EdgeCore, CIG Action Tech, HFCL out of India, Cybertan, Arcadian. These are pretty large ODM manufacturers around the world. And they can be mixed and matched in the same environment and controlled by a single controller. And I'm going to, obviously, we'll all talk about the Net Experience controller, but other controllers could be put in its place as well. The other thing that's kind of a little bit unique here is that my CEO likes to say, it's sort of single platform for multiple use cases. If you think about the way you subscribe to 4G, 5G services, whether you're an enterprise or a consumer, it's basically the same architecture. You don't have an Ericsson system for one and a Nokia system for another. So it kind of flattens that architecture. The same kind of thing happens here because the type of environment that you have can be serviced by just replacing those APs with different types of AP that are more suitable for that environment, like wall mount for hospitality, etc. The other thing that we always mention, of course, is that lower TCO. So this is designed not just to take a slice of the Wi-Fi pie as it exists today. It's really designed to grow the pie. And you'll find, I think, you have a slide at the end, Howard, which shows a lot of the initial deployments and trials have happened not just in North America and Europe, but also in places like Africa, India, Latin America, where they couldn't actually afford to deploy this type of Wi-Fi previously. In terms of our own platform, it's available on a software as a service basis or a licensed basis, and contains a lot of open APIs. And I will have one sort of slide on the product itself. And the sort of a thing to note on this is the blue sections are the open source stuff, right? So Net Experience was involved in some of the initial design and development of this with lots of other people, of course. It's an open community. So the AP software on the bottom section there is on all of those APs, and those APs become TIP certified once they're running that software and they've been gone through the certification process. In addition to that, there's a cloud SDK layer, which is also open source, and anybody here can go to TIP and download this. What we've done is that we've built a commercial product on top. So we've built a full enterprise or service provider enterprise grade management and controller platform. I'm not going to go into all those details. You guys are very familiar with most of the stuff that's here. You know, a full management platform, a full controller for client and band steering and channel selection. The only perhaps interesting thing that's a little different in here is we've also added some AI and ML in the QoE engine, as we call it. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, which is designed basically for root cause detection and correction, trying to basically reduce OpEx by doing as much automated self-healing as possible without human intervention. Looking at the APs themselves, the AP network operating system is based fundamentally on OpenWRT. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. And contains basically a protocol engine, which is uCentral today. In the version 1 was an OpenSync-based one. Version 2 is a uCentral. It's a lightweight protocol. We add 509 certificates for authentication, so it's secure. And there's some user space there to do algorithms that are needed to be done in real time. So obviously not everything can be done in the cloud. Some of the stuff has to be done real time in the AP. That user space is available, and we've used some of that. On the cloud side, nothing very surprising here. It's a Kubernetes cluster for our cloud product. The idea here is really to divorce the gateway side, the bottom part that's talking to the APs, from the stuff that people want to add as additional functionality via the REST APIs, for example. So the REST APIs will remain evergreen while the protocols on the bottom may change. So even today, as I mentioned, we support both the Release 1 and Release 2 protocols, so OpenSync and uCentral. And that's sort of divorced from anybody that's creating APIs to connect to the cloud. It's obviously designed as a scalable cloud. It currently runs in AWS, but you could run it in any cloud environment, OpenStack. In terms of the data and signaling paths, we have, is there any water, by the way?
I don't have any.
Oh, no, never mind. Data and signaling paths, there is the object, of course, is not to have the data traveling back to the cloud controller. All the data is traveling on the VLANs. As you can see, we've got a couple of VLANs set there, and back to the internet. We do support L2 GRE and L2 TP tunneling. If you do, for some of the public Wi-Fi deployments that we've done, some people do want that tunneling and the ability to tunnel that data. But the Net Experience Cloud is only receiving the metrics, events, and provisioning information. I'm not going to talk much on this slide, but I just wanted to let you know that we also support the WBA Open Roaming. And open roaming is, I think personally, a bit of a complex topic in terms of actually how you implement it. But I just wanted to let you know that we do support that, and if anybody's interested, be happy to set up a separate meeting to go through that. As part of the product, we have portals, of course, service provider, multiple customer views, etc., and some iOS and Android apps. The portal is based on location information. As Marcel is based in Canada, he's picked a lot of Canadian towns that I don't know exactly where they are, but you can see them displayed logically on the left side there, and you can zoom in to individual APs and individual clients selected to those APs. For troubleshooting, we've got client troubleshooting, AP troubleshooting, network events, and spectrum statistics.
Can you just say where you got the spectrum stats from?
I don't know, to be honest, where the spectrum stats come from, but I will find out for you. The RRM drives the quality of experience. So again, it's a hybrid cloud environment. That's to say some stuff is done in the cloud, some stuff is done on the AP. So we do cell sizing across the AP vendors. So you may, again, you've got multiple vendors, you've got to be able to cell size across those vendors, channel planning across those AP vendors, and OBSS prediction. So all that is done. We've got a lot of automated parts of this, but there are parameters that you can set manually, of course, as well. So really the last slide for me is the ML AI stuff. So we've been working on this with the University of Ottawa and now more recently with the Hyderabad University in India. We're doing this, automatic detection, root cause detection and correction. It's really because some of the problems that we see can't be solved using traditional heuristics algorithms. So if-then type functions. So we've got to look at that trend data. The trouble is that when you start changing some of these things like radio cells, channels, client attachments, etc., it tends to affect everything else. So you kind of go around in circles. So ML is a good way to do this. We're using TensorFlow and pretty mature open source ML frameworks. Strong collaboration with the universities, and then I think what Marcel likes to tell me is that the trouble with it is that as you use these ML algorithms, they can solve things, they can improve things. But if you're not careful, you end up using so many resources that the amount of resources you've used is excessive in terms of what it provides us as an end result. So you might get a 1% benefit for a massive amount of resource used. So I think this is an area that will solve a lot of problems in the longer term. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think we've got probably several years to go rather than several months to solve these kind of problems using AI ML. But I think it's a very, very good initiative that will pay off in the long term. Technical questions, I'm probably not exactly the right guy to ask, although I'll try my best, but Marcel will certainly be able to, and he's available if anybody wants to go into more of a deep dive. And of course, we have free trials available, so if anybody wants to sign up for a free trial, they can just email me, or it's also available on the web.
Thank you. And apologize for that hybrid almost CTO presentation.
Yeah.
We almost got there. Hold on a second. Okay. Just want to close out. So once again, we have the access points at 22 plus models available. We have real cloud controllers available inside of OpenWiFi. And we've been doing a lot of not just trials, but actual commercial deployments. So here in the US, we've passed lab trials with folks like Cable Labs and with Boingo. In fact, with Boingo, we're talking about some field trials in the not too distant future. There's actually a tier 1 wireless carrier with a lot of Wi-Fi deployments that's also looking at field trials here in the US. But we've also done a lot of work in Europe there's a company called Eyebrows that is a hospitality hotel a Wi-Fi deployment company with a combination of ceiling mounts as well as wall mount. And they are purchasing equipment and deploying them today. And we've done a lot more of that stuff in places like Africa. So Atlantis, for example, I think there's a press release yesterday about them beginning some commercial deployments in schools in Kenya. So, and there's a couple more things we can talk about, but I think you get the idea. This is a real technology that has been pretty well tested, and we're deploying it. So we're really, really excited at this point in time. Here's a pretty solid list of some of the key members of the community. There's over 100 of them today. I'll go back one. So worthy of mention is Join. They are kind of a hybrid in my mind. So they used to work with Whitebox and OpenWRT to do their own controller solution. And instead, they're an MSP that deploys in office buildings, but they just developed an end-to-end solution using the OpenWiFi stack. So anybody that participates can take the simple OpenWiFi layer, put their own UI on it, customize it how they like. So there's lots of, I think, as a growing number of members that they're just using it to customize their specific solutions. And we think that may work well for cable providers and things like that as well. Yeah, so a lot of folks active here. And did want to mention that we've done a lot of work the last couple of years with both the Wi-Fi Alliance and the WBA. With Wi-Fi Alliance, obviously, pretty much any standard with the 802.11 in it, we made sure is properly supported by OpenWiFi, but it also includes pass points and Hotspot 2.0 testing. So we've done full end-to-end testing of Hotspot 2.0, making sure even the radius stack is working properly to support Wi-Fi roaming use cases. We're really excited to say that it all works really well. And we've, of course, partnered with the WBA on open roaming and made sure that works out of the box. So a lot of things that have been troublesome for some access point providers to give you, we are making sure they work from day one. And speaking of that and Wi-Fi industry associations, we're really here at WLPC because we want to learn more about what everybody here needs. You guys are doing the real deployments, and you know what problems are seen in these deployments, and we want to learn from you what we can do to improve this platform and grow our community to really hit the mark and solve these problems. So definitely talk to me or Hugh or anybody else. There's Drew Lentz who's been working with it lately as well, so talk to Drew. Hey, Drew. Hey, Drew, do you have a place we can demonstrate this stuff, or did you set that up yet?
I've got APs. If you guys want to see hardware, I've got hardware.
So we have two APs, one from EdgeCore, one from CIG, and we can set up a single controller to connect to both of them and show you how it works. So grab me and Drew, and we'll tell you all about it, and definitely get involved if you can. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.